What's good? It's Music Cookup Series episode 290. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We got a comment in our last video asking how do we never get beat block, and I actually have some kind of like succinct methods that I can give you and ways you can kind of like frame your thinking when you go into making a beat that can help you stay creative and not fall into beat block. So I want to go over some simple music theory shit, like the simplest music theory shit that will help you, that I think is really all you need for making these trap beats. So we'll do some super simple music theory, and then we'll kind of talk about structuring and how our brains can think about trap beats specifically. And yeah, that should really help you with your beat block. So let's get right into it. So first I want to talk about the major scale. This might seem weird because every single time you ever see me make a beat, all 289 whatever beats we made on here, every single one we're pulling up like the C minor natural scale with the ghost notes on, or recently the A minor natural scale, just because that's just all the white keys and it makes it easy. But you know what else is all the white keys? A minor natural and C major, which actually we'll talk more about how that works later, but we won't get into that yet. That's a circle of fifths, we'll talk about after. So the major scale, I used to teach like music at the YMCA to like little kids, and like this is what we based everything on. Honestly, that's how I really learned all this shit. Teaching this to like 6-year-olds all day every day helped me fucking really solidify my brain, and this is all I really think you need. So the major scale, I'm sure we've all learned at some point do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, no. Alright, so yeah, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, each of the notes in the major scale. We've all probably heard that before. And of course, if we start with do being C, the whole point of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and we call it solfege, is that it's a general form of that scale. We don't have to plug any notes in. The whole point is it's the relationship. Do, re, mi. It's how like one's a whole step, half step. Actually, let's pull it up real quick. And my face is in the way. All right, so this picture right here is really important. So everything in music is about whole steps and half steps. So there's two helpful pictures here. Sort of look at this picture and look at this picture at the same time that has the piano here. So whole step, C, D, so that's do, re. Whole step is, so a whole step is white key to a white key, and a half step would be that white key to the black key. So this is a whole step, and then D to E is again, so do, re, mi, another whole step. So whole step, do, re, mi. So up to mi is E, that's another whole step. But then right, see how E and F are right next to each other right there? That's another half step. So do, re, mi, fa, mi, fa. Mi and fa are like right next to each other. That's that E and F. So that's a half step. And that's another whole step because you see there's that black key there. So it's a whole step from F to G, another whole step from G to A, another whole step from A to B, and that's a half step to finish it back up to there. So it's whole step, half step, whole step, half step. And as we know, because I said earlier, that the C major scale and the A minor natural scale are both all the white keys. So that means that the only difference between a major and a minor scale is the order of the whole steps and the half steps. That is everything in music, is the order of the whole steps and half steps. The difference between every single scale that anyone's ever talked about in a tutorial is the whole steps and the half steps between each of the notes, and all the different implications on how that can give you different notes and different chords you can use and all those different implications. But all at the base of it is the relationship whole step and half step. So that's kind of like what I want to show you here. So if we were to start at C, D, E, F, G, A, that means that a minor scale is whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whatever, whole step down there. Whereas, so it's all the same thing, just in a different order, and that just creates a different implication where your home base is, where your root is, and where you're gonna fall. Like we said, the major scale is just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do is a representation of the major scale. You can put C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C on there to represent specific notes. So now we can have specific chords. So we can build 7 different chords because obviously C, D, E, F, G, A, B, that's 7 notes. Each one, we're gonna skip a note like you see me do in the tutorials. We skip a note, we can make a fucking chord. So that means we can make, whoops, I fucked that one. What am I doing there? C, D, I'm retarded. So we got C, E, G. So we got C, skip D, E, skip F to G. So C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D. And each of those is either major or minor. So C, E, G, that is major. And we can prove that, and we can just like use our ears because major chords are gonna be typically sound happier. So C, E, G, major. D, F, A, I'm gonna tell you right now, that's minor. that's minor. And that has to do with the fact that there was that half step right there. And then let's see what else we got. So we got D, F, A, E, G, B. That sounds minor. F, A, C is major. C, G, B, D, major, or G, B, D, major. A, C, E, minor. And then B, D, F. That one is a special case because it incorporates two of the half steps, the half step right there and the half step right there. So it's kind of like a diminished minor chord or something like that. But I don't really know specifically, but my only point there being is, so we got a mixture of major and minor chords based off of the scale we're using. And then the last piece of music theory you can use now to does not even need a scale is, so now if we can memorize all of those basic chords, if I know C, E, G is a major chord, and I know that it has to do with the whole steps and the half steps between them, the secret between going from a major chord to a minor chord is simply just that third. It's always going to be the fifth, so it's like a perfect fifth. So the fifths are always going to be the same. The only thing making a major to a minor chord is that third in the middle of that third. So if it's already major, you just bring it down a half step, and it becomes minor, major, minor. So we'll do A, C, E. We know that that's minor. So what about A, C sharp, E? Now it's major. So all of that to say is that is how music is structured within scales. Each of those scales has a number of chords. All of these chords and scales are based off of the whole steps and half steps between them, and those are how we create our different emotions with major and minor. So now that we know how all that shit works and we have all that in our brain, let's see how we can apply that into making a trap beat. I hope any of this is making any kind of sense and just me totally like rambling. We'll quickly look right here. See, here's the circle of fifths. This is like the same thing. So like we said, the fifths are always the same. C to G to D to A. So that's C, E, G, G, B, D, D, F, A, C, E, E, G, B, and then like B, D, F. Like we said, we go back to there. And this is just showing this outer circle is the major. The outer circle is all the major scales, and the inner circle is the corresponding minor scale. So C major is A minor, just starting at a different spot. G major is E minor, just starting at a different spot. Like we said, based off of the order of the whole steps and half steps and the implication of those and the chords and where you land coming back to your root and all of that. So that is really like music theory at the basis of it. I really think like that whole step, half step idea is extremely important. Let me get this out the way. All right, so our next piece is how do we apply all that information to making a beat? Well, we have our like music theory information over here, and then we have like our trap. I could think of them like the rules of like a trap beat, but like at the end of the day, there's no rules, but there are rules. But like it's what you do like within and around them. Because I hate seeing people like watching this Nick Mirror video the other day, like repost on YouTube of like him cooking up on Twitch or some shit. It was like 4 or 5 beats in an hour, and they're all bangers. They're all like very different. But so, like, there's a comment with like hella likes and people agreeing like, oh my god, all his beats sound the same. It's always the 808 on the root now and these 2-step hi-hats, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, idiot. You must not like trap music because like that's trap music. So some things are just like trap music. And if you're sick of 2-step hi-hats and shit, like, then too bad. That's not all of trap music, but like there's some things that like typical things of trap music that are like typical rules, and it's how you work around those rules, be creative within those rules, and like just do unique shit within those rules is like what makes shit good. So people complain about like a 2-step hi-hat, it's like, bruh, you just don't like the music. But anyway, so like what kind of rules am I talking about? So kind of like, so lately we've been working in A minor natural because like I said, same thing as C major, it's all the white keys. So let's start there. So like one of my rules that I would say, so like we got this 8-bar loop right here. So I'd probably, if I'm starting on A and I have A right here, I'm guessing I probably want to come back around to A again right here. There's got to be some sort of loop. Everything in like hip hop is like a loop. So that's kind of like our first rules. We're gonna have A right there. We're gonna do whatever the fuck we want in between here, but eventually we're gonna come back to this A and have some sort of like structure like within that. So that's step one, is using our brain and skipping the notes in our scales and making a minor chord here. And then just making chords within the scale that might sound good. So like typically like using like notes that are like the same might sound good. And then maybe we'll like invert that up. And then maybe we'll just take like the thirds and go up. didn't mean to do that one too. So, and then we'll go down like, so I kind of want to go down right there. So that was the third though. So now we're thinking in terms of, all right, so let's make this the third of a chord. That means I'm gonna go up, skip one, go down, but let's take both of those and go back down to here. Let's see how this sounds. And then maybe that'll be like the fifth this time. So let's build the chord as if that's the fifth, down, down, and invert that. So yeah, just like fucking around with chords and being creative with it and like finding ways to have repeating notes, but they're different chords. And yeah, so just being creative, knowing how chords work, and then you can just throw shit at the wall until it like sounds good. It's like we said, and then we'll arrive back here again, like so. And then maybe the second time around, we'll like just make it more dramatic, like. And then bring that up too. And we'll do like. There, yeah, just messing around with it. Just fucking pretty much just like almost 2-3 chords right there. Yeah, we just knew our rules of our chords, wanted to come back around to A, just kept it simple, repetitive, everything just simple, repetitive chords, like that's what I've been like preaching. So now we can transpose this, because our next rule is we want our 808 to be on these like root notes, which we have to remember. So some people also get confused. The root note isn't always the bottom note, it's the root note. So A, C, E, the root is A. This is F, A, C, technically the root is F. And then so G, B, D, G is the root, but then this time it's G, E, G, B. So this chord progression is really going E, F, G, B, D, E, G, B. So these are like for real, the bass notes right here. So like when people are like, yo man, like your 808's out of key, it's not on the root note. It's like, yeah, bro, it's not. The root note doesn't mean the bottom note. It means the bottom note of the chord if the chord was in its original form. But if you start like inverting shit and doing random shit, yeah, the chord might change. So keep that in mind as well. So now we can put those root notes down there. And the last piece, now that we know those are our root notes, that's where we're probably gonna have most of our 808s. So we're like, all right, A is pretty low. So like maybe we want to go like C sharp, we'll go up to A and B. Like those notes could probably work. Then you can even do shit like, we could take this, move it here, take this, make it longer, give it a little different bounce. Move this just ever so slightly. So yeah, just start out with the basic notes, just some basic chords. This all just started out with knowing, hey, we want A and then A. We'll just bring it together in between, and then we'll just little by little add the bass notes. It gets a little more complicated. Change the like rhythm of the chords a little bit more complicated. So let's maybe just like strum the top shits or whatever. Some like Kid Laroi shit right now is what we're doing. And so yeah, now we just took that, we laid it up, and we put that an octave down. So now we just got those sounds are taking up different spaces in like the pitch regions. So that's another good tip. Like, don't have a whole bunch of shit just all up in the same region. If you're gonna layer shit, maybe put it up or down an octave, and or widen it. Like, we got this wider on here, so not only is it a different octave, it's also like in a different area of the headphones, basically. And let's maybe do like the most subtle little like top line thing ever. That could be cool, just a little pluck thing. Because like I said, I'm just trying to eliminate top lines really from my shit. It's all just like chord progressions, and if there is a top line, maybe it's like an arpeggiation, which is just the chord broken apart, like type shit. Let's give it like a little wobble, old feel. Now we can take that whole thing. We're gonna hit this red button right here, Alt R, bounce that out. And then we'll be able to like mess with the pitch on there, give it a whole new feel. We'll probably bounce it down like 100 cents, and then we'll put some drums on there from there. That I wrote in like the pinned comment in my last video too, because I forgot to kind of mention it, is also like if you're trying to get like a nice drum bounce, try to have all your different accenting things like at different places, like your kicks, your accenting snares, like your open hats and shit, like have them hit in different places, like your rolls and shit. Like sometimes it sounds good to have like a kick 808 and like an open hat or like a roll hit at the same time. There's like some good energy. But like if you have like a kick hit at the same time as like an accenting snare like this, it kind of sounds like whack. So watch out for shit like that. Just kind of give everything its own space. Our root notes aren't necessarily the lowest notes. They're whatever the root of the chord is. And you know, sometimes maybe it'll sound good not to hit the root note. You know, it's experiment. You know, like I said, there's rules, but like you don't always gotta be following them. Simple, repetitive. We'll just add that in there. Yeah, just following those root notes, getting that bounce. Like none of those 808s are hitting where that like snare is hitting or anything like that. Like yeah, even like the rolls, like I said, like things are just separate and it gives it that bounce. Besides like right there, like the 808 and the hi-hat, like that'll sound good though. But like some things like the accenting snares, accenting rolls and shit, just kind of want to have shit like hitting at different times because of that bounce. And lastly, let's put on this TR5 classic clipper. These are my settings right here: 3 on the gain, and 4 on the slope, 0 on the output. Basically, yeah, just bump up the gain, but as long as the output's at 0, it's not gonna be clipping. Going hard, not clipping. But yeah, like I was saying, like this sounds like some Kid Laroi type shit. If we had some kind of crazy top line, like that would just be completely like taking up whatever space he was trying to like sing on or some shit. That could be like his top line or some shit. So yeah, that's why I've been preaching like chords, 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 chords. I just tell you the basic of the chords and the scales and how they work. Look into the circle of fifths, look into the minor natural scale, look into how chords work. And then just like once you learn all this information, boil it down into its simplest form, and like yo, all I need is just 3 catchy chords, 3 catchy chords or something, 3 or 4 catchy chords, and then everything just simply build off that with your sound selection and like all that shit. It's a beat right there, turned into like a Kid Laroi type beat, but mostly trying to teach you some simple music theory that can really help guide you and help you avoid beat block. That's pretty much exactly everything that I think about when I'm going to making a beat every single time. So yeah, if I went too fast, it was just kind of just like random. I was just like jabbering at you. Just take those ideas, Google them more. Google these scales, Google these chords, Google the circle of fifths, Google all this shit. Look into it more, teach yourself, because like that's when it's really gonna stick. Is when like you look into it and like learn it yourself and like yeah. So hope you learned something today. Hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. Comment below. Let me know what you're trying to see in a future video. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so get ready for that. Till next time. Here's the final beat. Peace.